Have you ever felt like your mind is a constantly spinning carousel, where every thought seems urgent, but none are truly important? You're not alone in this modern era, where overthinking has become a common, albeit unhealthy, sport. We've been deceived into believing that if we're not constantly solving a problem, we're being idle. But here's the truth. This constant mental turmoil is what truly exhausts you. Today, I will share with you a simple yet powerful secret. Life does not require endless rumination to thrive. In this video, the Stoic messenger offers us 10 valuable strategies to prevent our mental energy from spiraling out of control like an overwound spring. Stay tuned until the end for some surprisingly detailed information. Remember, less often means more, and by learning to detox your mind from these incessant thoughts, you will achieve something truly priceless: peace of mind. So, if you're ready to no longer be a prisoner of your own thoughts, join me in exploring these simple strategies. And yes, true liberation is just the first step. But before we proceed, let's explore a story that will shed light on the profound wisdom inherent in this method. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Mia who embarked on a long journey to find enlightenment. Her journey took her through bustling cities and tranquil landscapes, each step filled with lessons and encounters. Ultimately, exhausted and overwhelmed with incessant thoughts, Mia found herself at the gates of a secluded ashram, nestled at the foot of a quiet mountain range. Exhausted and her mind clouded by a barrage of worries and constant thoughts, she knelt before the residing sage, seeking guidance. "Master, my thoughts are relentless. They won't let me rest or enjoy this moment. How can I find peace?" In response, the sage handed her a small, clear jar filled with water and began dropping black ink into it. As the ink slowly clouded the water, Mia anxiously watched until the jar could no longer contain the swirling darkness without overflowing. Confused, she exclaimed, "Master, the jar is overflowing. It can no longer hold anything more." With a gentle smile, the sage replied, "Exactly, Mia. Like this jar, your mind is so filled up that it cannot contain peace. To find tranquility, you must first empty your mind." Mia realized that her thoughts were like ink, each one adding more darkness until clarity was lost. The first step to detoxing her mind, as the sage instructed, was to clear it out, releasing unnecessary burdens. The sage shared 3 simple strategies to achieve this. 1. Breathe and observe. Focus on your breath, the gateway to the present. Spend time each day deeply breathing and observing your thoughts as they come and go, without judgment or attachment. 2. Write and release. Sometimes thoughts need a way out. Writing down what you think can help release them, much like clearing out a cluttered room. 3. Focus on the essentials. Not every thought is important. Learn to distinguish between what truly matters and what is merely noise. As the Stoics advised, don't worry about what you cannot control. Let go of what does not depend on you, and focus only on what you can change. Mia gradually applied these teachings. As she did, her mind became calm, and the constant noise of her thoughts began to fade. Now, whenever she faces mental storms, she always remembers to empty the jar. The lesson from this story is clear. Peace of mind doesn't come from controlling every thought, but from learning to let go. Before we delve into the first lesson, if you find these videos helpful, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest insights. Let's begin mastering the art of letting go. Consider this. Don't deceive yourself. We've all been trapped in that dark corner of our minds, where doubts about future possibilities and missed actions accumulate until there seems to be no room for anything else. It's worse when you cling to these thoughts as if your life depends on them. But here's the thing. The source of your agony may very well be beyond your control. So why fixate on it? Yes, it's easier said than done. But let's discuss simple strategies for freeing yourself from the prison of your thoughts and detoxifying your mind. Letting go is the first step. One of life's great ironies is that the more you attempt to control everything, the more you realize how little control you actually have. You could spend your whole day planning for scenarios that never happen, losing sight of living in the moment. Trying to stop the wind with your hands is a futile effort. The Stoics would call this a waste of vital energy. What you know and what you don't know, it seems we spend more time worrying about the latter. Realistically, releasing what you cannot control is an art form, and like any art, it requires some skills to master. Instead of battling the unpredictable, embrace it. View uncertainty as an unwelcome guest who initially makes you uncomfortable, but eventually becomes tolerable. Under your control, your mind will begin to free itself. Imagine wearing glasses that only let the important things through. Whenever a negative or useless thought crosses your mind, ask yourself, is this truly important? Can I do anything about it? If the answer is no, let it pass. It doesn't deserve your attention. Think of it as cleaning your house. You discard what's broken, useless, or unnecessarily takes up space. Also, remember that your mind can be like an unleashed dog, and thoughts are like sticks you throw repeatedly. The solution is simple. Stop throwing the sticks and keep bringing your mind back to the present until it becomes accustomed to staying present and mindful. Ultimately, accept that not everyone will like you. Part of letting go of control is understanding that you can't please everyone. It's like trying to catch water in your hands. Eventually, you become tired, frustrated, and once again, achieve nothing. It's terrifying. Not because we're told that being busy means being productive, and if you're not busy, you're wasting time, but because this is where you truly find yourself. Sometimes, what you really need isn't more thinking, but a pause, a deliberate pause, like setting your phone to airplane mode. Notifications keep coming, but you decide when to pay attention to them. This is a simple and effective tool for detoxing your mind, a mental upgrade practiced by the Stoics. They called it reflection, because what good is relentless thinking if all you have in your mind is a mess of worries? The next time you feel your mind running at 1,000 miles per hour, just stop for a minute. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let your thoughts pass, as if they were cars on a highway. Don't try to catch them. Don't analyze them. Just observe them. This little tip is like turning off the TV when there's too much noise. Stop investigating every nook and cranny of your thoughts as if you were an obsessed detective. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is not try to solve everything at once. Think of your mind like a fogged-up window. The more you rub it to see clearly, the dirtier it becomes. Instead, let time do its job, and you will see how things clear up on their own. Do you remember being bored as a child, and that was when you were most creative? It's not that you should seek boredom, but allow yourself to do nothing for a while. Even though it sounds counterintuitive, it means a lot because sometimes silence is where the best ideas sprout. Take at least 5 minutes each day to sit in complete silence. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and the quiet. You don't need to meditate or become a Buddhist monk, but let the silence speak to you. It's surprising what you can learn in those moments. The problem isn't that you think too much. but that you don't know when to stop. Are you exhausted yet? Practicing mindful pauses is like giving your mind a break, like letting soup rest to blend the flavors better. Sometimes the best answer is just to pause, let things settle, and calm down. Look with fresh eyes. Remember, a clear mind isn't one that never fills up, but one that knows how to empty itself when necessary, as Paulo Coelho said. Sometimes the solution isn't finding an answer, but making space for new ones to come. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that real freedom is not controlling everything, but how we respond to what we can't control. Stopping overthinking is the result of stopping trying to control the uncontrollable. So, when life asks you to let go, do it gracefully, because it's only then that you can truly move forward. Your second decision must be to choose what not to dwell on. You don't have to solve all your problems today. There's no need to contemplate every possible consequence of each minor action. Focus on a single task, something truly significant, and devote all your energy to it. Let rest handle the rest, and don't fool yourself into thinking that this is laziness. It's really about being efficient. If your mind continuously hops from one topic to another, it's akin to trying to fill a bathtub through a sieve, and you'll find that your mental overload begins to dissipate. The third decision, equally crucial, is to prioritize mental rest. This doesn't refer to a quick nap, though that's not a bad idea, but rather allowing yourself to disconnect from the relentless storm of thoughts accumulating in your mind. Give your mind brief pauses throughout the day. This can be achieved by simple practices like mindful breathing or spending 5 minutes gazing out a window. You don't need a 2-hour meditation session to free your mind from daily noise. This is where Stoic wisdom excels, teaching control from within. If your mind becomes a sanctuary of calm, external forces have less influence, but simplification is essential if you are to reduce meaningless decisions, focus your energy, and let your mind rest. You'll see how the constant weight of mental overload begins to melt away. People say you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Choose wisely, and you'll notice a difference in your daily life. Simplification doesn't mean being less capable. It means being more efficient with what you have. The Stoic maxim states that true freedom isn't about having more choices, but about knowing when to say enough, filtering your thoughts, knowing what to discard as if it's a near sacred ritual to remove what is no longer useful. Let me tell you this. Your mind also accumulates junk thoughts, useless worries, and minor doubts that become monsters if you overvalue them. Just as you wouldn't allow physical trash to pile up in your home, you shouldn't let mental clutter accumulate in your head, absorbing daily information, opinions from others, news you can't control, and not realizing it, turning our minds into emotional landfills. The problem is, it's not as obvious as seeing bags of trash. What do you do to filter what comes in and what stays in your mind? You might think you can't control your thoughts, but that's not true, because you can choose what music to listen on the radio. And if you can opt not to blast reggaeton at full volume on a quiet Sunday, you can also choose which thoughts to nourish and which to let go. The first step is to identify the garbage in your mind. The Stoics speak of focusing on what you can control, and your thoughts are within that realm. So, when you catch yourself pondering something you can't change, imagine that thought as a noisy, useless, rusted can, and either discard it, or, better yet, take daily time to disconnect. Not to quit the internet forever, but to set a limit. Maybe 20 minutes of news is more than enough to know that the world continues to turn, and you don't need to be aware of everything happening in your life. If you're someone who worries about the future, apply a simple yet powerful technique. Next time you feel overwhelmed by everything you need to do tomorrow or next week, ask yourself what you can do right now. This small, specific action helps you steer clear of anticipatory anxiety, like throwing out trash in your house and starting to discard mental rubbish. Remember, according to Stoic philosophy, what truly matters is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. The mind is a valuable space. Treat it as such. Fill it with nourishing thoughts, not emotional waste that drains you. Think of it as clearing a clean room, leaving space for what truly matters. Less is genuinely more. Be honest, that endless scroll isn't your best friend, even if it keeps you company more than it should. You could fall into the trap of just one more scroll, or seeing what else is there. Like someone eating one cookie after another without realizing the whole pack is gone. What you might not realize is that as you swipe your finger across the screen, your mind becomes filled with unnecessary noise, and when you want to think about something more significant, there's no room left. You become an observer of life, but not of your own, wasting time every time you indulge in that endless stream of news, memes, and photos. The ability to disconnect from your thoughts and focus is each swipe, a small download of temporary satisfaction, like a sweet treat for the brain, but ultimately leaving you more hollow than fulfilled. The problem today is that everything conspires to keep you running from silence, filling every second with stimuli. The paradox is that this saturation leaves you more exhausted than if you were busy with meaningful activities. You wake up, and the first thing you do is check notifications. Then you eat while continuing to look at a screen until the end of the day. And what do you do right before sleeping? Exactly. The phone is the last thing you see. It seems absurd that a device controls every minute of your day, like being tied to a machine that instead of relaxing you, makes you more exhausted than you realize. What if I told you that you could start freeing yourself from this digital overload with small steps, not by turning off your phone forever or retreating to a mountain cabin, though that sometimes sounds appealing. You can start by taking conscious pauses throughout the day, like quiet little islands where you set your phone aside just for a few minutes to return to its natural state, like a small digital detox. Treat them like a fresh breeze amidst the information storm. You might also set your own time limits on social media, deciding how many cookies are too many. It's easy to lose control and spend hours, but if you start limiting your time with them, you'd be surprised how much you can recover. The Stoics reminded us that moderation is key in every aspect of life, even in technology use, and don't be afraid of silence. Sometimes what scares us the most isn't boredom, but facing the thoughts we'd rather bury under a wave of stimuli. But silence is what your mind needs to detox truly. Allow your thoughts to flow freely, and you'll start to see everything more clearly. And another thing, what about taking a walk without your phone? Yes, it sounds radical, but it's more liberating than you might expect when you're not capturing every moment or responding to every message. Suddenly, the world seems bigger, more tangible. It's a minor act of rebellion against digital overload and a way to reconnect with yourself. The digital world is designed to captivate your attention, but stepping away from the screen gives you the power to disconnect and find your own inner peace amid the chaos. As the Stoics taught, true freedom isn't about turning off your phone, but mastering your mind so that external noise isn't in control. Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. Genuine rest isn't found by just shutting off your screen, but by activating your ability to live in the present. Do you realize that amid a whirlwind of thoughts, the first thing you forget is how to breathe? You may be dwelling on past worries or thinking about 100 things at once, but you never consider stopping to breathe. It's as if our brains are wired to be submerged in our own minds, as if we were Stoics facing chaos without the tranquility they practiced. Breathing seems too simple a solution, almost too trivial to help with something as complex as detoxing your mind, but it is indeed the simple truth you need. Imagine your mind as an overheated computer from overuse. What do you do when your computer freezes? You turn it off and restart it. The same applies when your mind is saturated. When you find yourself overthinking, your breath is still automatic, but taking control of it seems to pause the endless stream of thoughts. By taking a deep breath, you give yourself a moment to pause, and exhaling allows you to release all the mental clutter you've accumulated. This is how you detox bit by bit with each conscious breath. Picture yourself for a moment as a wise and composed Stoic philosopher facing modern chaos, breathing as they would. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 more, and exhale slowly for another 4 counts. This simple trick seems almost laughable, but it forces you to slow down your mind and break the frantic pace of the day. This conscious breathing not only calms you, but helps you see everything more clearly. Whenever you feel like your mind is about to explode, you open a window, not a real one, but a mental window. You pause, take a deep breath, and exhale, as though you are releasing all the toxic smoke from your thoughts out through that imaginary window. This instantly soothes you, offering a literal and metaphorical break for your mind, a simple yet powerful trick. Then, every morning before any heavy thoughts settle in your mind, take 3 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale purposefully, as if each breath prepares your brain for assured operation. Do this before each task, every important conversation, at every stressful moment of the day. Whenever you feel chaos is about to ensue, returning to your breath brings freedom, requiring no more time or effort than you already possess. In a world where everything is chaotic, connecting with your own breath is one of the easiest and most effective ways to come back to yourself. So, the next time you feel lost in thought, remember, breathing is not just life, it is the simplest way to restart. As Mario Alonso says, "He who controls his breath controls his mind." Choose your battles. It's amusing how sometimes you worry about trivial matters, as though they were the battles of the Trojan War. What if a colleague doesn't greet you? What if a TV series ends poorly? Or if your neighbor decides to play reggaeton at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and you're setting up an emotional battleground over something that won't block your thoughts or even deserves your attention? Here's an uncomfortable truth. Not everything deserves your time or energy. Imagine your energy as a glass of water, each drop representing your capacity to think, feel, act well. Would you rather use those drops to water a blooming garden or to extinguish fires that aren't even in your field? Choosing your battles is a regular exercise in prioritization, because if you decide to fight every minor skirmish, you'll have nothing left for the battles that matter. It's like trying to juggle 10 balls at once. Eventually, one will drop. Stoic philosophy clearly states that you can't control what happens, but you can control how you react. Why not apply the same idea to your daily life? Don't fall into the trap of trying to solve everything as if you're the hero in your own personal development novel. The truth is, you don't have to fight in every battle. Some you can let go. To simplify this process, ask yourself, will this matter to me in a week, a month, a year? If the answer is no, you know what to do. Let it go. Allow it to drift away like a balloon that you no longer need. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to discern what truly deserves your time and what doesn't. Reducing the number of battles you choose to fight is ultimately a strategy for mental detox. Because the less time you spend on unimportant things, the more space you have for what really matters. Treat your mind like a closet full of old junk. If you clear out the useless worries, you make room for thoughts that truly nourish you. Sometimes winning means not participating in the fight. Not everything deserves a grand confrontation or sleepless nights. It would be wiser and more stoic to select issues that truly deserve resolution. When you stop wasting energy on unimportant things, you'd be surprised at how much peace of mind you can ultimately achieve. Life isn't a series of endless battles, but a chance to choose wise, do less to achieve more. Do you realize that we live in an era where doing 1,000 things at once seems synonymous with multitasking, the new superpower everyone wants to have? But what if I told you that's a myth? Yes, as you've heard, doing multiple things at once doesn't make you more efficient. It makes you more distracted, like a fly buzzing around aimlessly. Here's the secret to achieving more. Sometimes you have to do less. We've been led to believe that the more tasks you do at once, the more efficient you are. What actually happens is you end up doing everything half-heartedly. When you try to cook, talk on the phone, and watch your favorite movie at the same time, the food doesn't taste good, and you don't even understand what the movie is about, and your friend doesn't feel like you're paying attention to it. Multitasking robs you of the most precious thing you have, the ability to focus. The Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. The key is to pour all your energy into one thing at a time. Why do you think Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations while he was playing a game of chess? Focus is a powerful tool, but to achieve it, you must first detox your mind from modern chaos and start doing one thing at a time. It seems obvious, but think about it. How many times have you opened 20 tabs in your browser, just in case? Focusing on one task not only improves your productivity, but also reduces your stress levels, like when you listen to a song and enjoy each note without distraction. So, you should face each task in your day without letting your attention be drawn to trivial things. Another fundamental step is to declutter your space. Clutter doesn't just invade your environment, it also invades your mind. If your desk is filled with papers, coffee cups, and reminders, your brain is bound to feel overloaded. Remove unnecessary items and give your mind a rest. Stoic philosophy has always supported simplicity and detachment from excess. There's a lot to learn here. Less is indeed more when we talk about your physical space. It's essential to reduce the digital noise surrounding you, with every notification acting like a thief sneaking into your mind to steal your attention. If you really want to detox your mind, start by turning off those alerts that go off every 2 seconds. Nothing is that urgent, and if it truly is, trust me, you'll find out in time, so you can regain your ability to focus. Finally, don't underestimate the power of rest. Sometimes we believe that being constantly busy equates to being productive, but the reality is quite the opposite. The best ideas often come when your mind is calm, not overloaded. Give yourself permission to do nothing so that thoughts can flow or simply disappear. As Seneca said, the tranquility of the soul is the real strength found in those quiet moments. When you try to do everything, you end up accomplishing very little. The key is to do less but better, by simplifying your tasks and focusing on what truly matters. You will not only achieve more, but also feel lighter and less overwhelmed. As the Stoics taught us, living simply is the path to genuine inner peace. As you grow older, you will understand what I am telling you. True clarity doesn't come from doing more, but from learning to do less. Your mind is not a storage room. Cleaning your mind is not about storing everything that happens to you during the day, as if they are boxes filled with worries you can't even remember why you're keeping. Why keep them? Do you know what happens when you stuff too much into a warehouse? It overflows, chaos ensues, and order disappears. The same thing happens with your head when you decide that every thought, every problem, and everything deserves to be there and live rent-free. Your mind, like a good container, needs to be emptied. But of course, no one teaches us how. Every night before you sleep, your brain is about to burst, trying to remember if you sent that email, if you forgot the keys, or solving the mystery of why people don't respond to your messages as quickly as you'd like. And so it goes. Night after night, your mind continues to accumulate as if you're a thought rat running on an endless wheel. Here's what's essential. You need to learn how to empty that mental bin each night. No, it's not magic. The secret is understanding that not everything deserves a space in your head. Stoicism reminds us that we can't control much, except one thing: how we decide to react to them. If we start from there, imagine that at the end of the day before you sleep, you're sweeping a broom across the dusty corners of your mind. One of the simplest techniques is to mentally shake off before bed. Take a piece of paper or open a note on your mobile phone if you prefer, and write down everything in your head. It doesn't have to make sense. It's like emptying your shopping cart at the supermarket when you realize you've picked up things you don't need. Do it swiftly without overthinking. Let everything out. Another effective strategy is to use visualization. Close your eyes and imagine that every thought is a slow-moving cloud across the sky. Don't get attached to them. Don't analyze them. Just watch them pass by. It's important to understand that not every thought needs to be preserved, just as not every cloud carries a storm. What you must remember is that real rest begins when your mind is calm, not when the clock strikes bedtime. If you practice mental cleansing every night, your brain will learn to let go of the unnecessary. Because you are not a warehouse, and your mind shouldn't be as cluttered as one. At the end of the day, the only thing you really need is a clear mental space where peace is your bedfellow, not your worries. As my grandfather said, what you don't let go of will weigh you down. What you don't clean up will suffocate you. As we draw this video to a close, I want to take a moment to reflect on the profound simplicity of the Stoic strategies we've explored. These 10 strategies aren't just methods. They're invitations to a more serene and controlled life. It's striking how releasing the need to control the uncontrollable can significantly reduce mental clutter. This practice of detachment, as suggested, isn't about disengagement from life, but about engaging more meaningfully with the parts of life that truly matter. The moments of silence we've discussed aren't just pauses. They are opportunities to clear the mind and reset our focus on what's important. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to filter out noise, preparing us to face the worst while hoping for the best. By making fewer daily decisions, as we've seen, we're not losing control, but gaining back our peace of mind. Choosing our battles wisely is a theme that resonates deeply. It's about conserving our energy for tasks and conflicts that are truly worth our time and effort. The lesson that doing less can actually help us achieve more seems counterintuitive at first, but is deeply liberating upon practice. It reminds us that our minds are not warehouses meant to store every worry and to-do item that crosses our path. As we breathe deeply and reset, as encouraged by the Stoic practices in this video, let's remember to carry these lessons forward. Let's not just watch and forget, but watch and transform. Let our actions reflect our learning as we embrace a less cluttered, more focused way of living. Thank you for spending this time with me, exploring how to purify our minds and enrich our lives with Stoicism. Remember, it's not just about reducing mental noise, it's about amplifying mental peace.